don't care if you come to me and you're building an $800,000 house or if you're building a $2 million house, you have a budget. Okay. I don't care what the amount of money is. There's a budget, which is why we very much want to define those top 3 to top 5 things. Hey, let's make sure we get these into the budget. Then there's going to be decisions you have to make on other items to meet within the budget that you want to be at, or that just the cost of building puts you into.
Welcome to Building Brews and BBQ. This is episode number 1 of our new series that we're bringing to you called The House That Wisdom Built. This series, for those that haven't listened to the trailer, is going to take you through whether you want to build a home, renovate a home, whatever it is you want to do in your home. It's going to give you our wisdom of over 50 years of where you should start and where you will end up moving into that home, providing you with all the information we possibly can to make it smooth. This won't be all the information, but we hope that this is fun, enjoyable, exciting, and provides you key little tips to help you along your journey. I'm Vince Longo, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Nathan Walters, and we're really excited to bring this to you. Vince and I have kicked around this podcast idea for a long time. We've had a couple guests on. You guys maybe have listened to that. After we did that, though, we decided, man, we really want to go through the sequence from start to finish to educate anybody thinking about doing a new renovation or a new build.
That's right. Yep. And then kind of impart our wisdom and our mistakes.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Maybe some silly mess ups.
Well, the wisdom comes from the mistakes, right? That's some of the stuff that we're going to be able to teach to the listeners.
So sit back, crack open one of your favorite brews. I'm going to be drinking a Creature Comforts, which is a local brewery here in Atlanta. I love their Tropicalia. It's unbelievable. What are you drinking, sir?
Only Miller Lights. That's it. And you'll notice that through this, it's Building Barbecues and Brews, but I only drink one kind of brew. So I don't know. Vin will have all kinds of stuff.
Exactly.
I'll just have the Miller Light.
Well, what's funny is we start off this episode by saying, so you wake up in the morning and
have a Miller Light.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
If you're, so you wake up in the morning, you're like, hey, we finally decided we want to renovate our home or build a new home. You might not crack your favorite beer, but maybe you brew your favorite coffee.
That's right.
And you just sit down and start to think, wow, this is a big journey.
Yeah.
How do we do it right? And so I would say, paint the picture for me, Nathan, as to what our listeners, maybe some of the questions that they're asking themselves when they first say, we want to build a new home or renovate a home. What are maybe the top 3 things that you hear new customers call you and say? Or better yet, what are the top 3 things you recommend for them to do?
Yeah, so the first one always, and it's the same thing with anything, is why? Why are you thinking we need to renovate, or why do we want to build a new house? And look, it can be as simple as, we've been in this house for 10 years. We want something new. It can be, we have a growing family. It can be, in my market, what we see a lot, because we're out of Edmond, we have a very good school system. It's people moving from different parts of the cities to get into the school system. So asking yourself, what is it that why? Why do I want to embark on this journey?
So you think what I'm hearing you say is the why, number 1. Would number 2, the second most important thing, be the where?
Where? 100%. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be closer to town? Where the lots are a little tighter? Do you want to be out on kind of the banks of the suburbs where you can have larger lots? Where? What are you looking for?
Or if their where is perfect, it's what do we do with this home?
What do we do? How do we renovate this home because we love where we are?
So number 3, I would think, of the top 3 is now how.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's what we want to do. We want to be your guide in your story, whether you're building a new home or renovating home. Our goal is to make you the hero. What does the hero look like in a story like this? Well, no chaos.
That's right.
Maybe a project that's on time.
Yep.
On budget.
On budget. Yep.
where you're not in the middle of getting a divorce at the end of it. Because, hey, we've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And
because building can be tough.
It's tough. But with the right planning and the right information, that's what we hope to impart. So something that I hear a lot, Nathan, and I'd love to get your take on it, and maybe the listeners' take on it, is I think when you wake up and you think, okay, if we're going to start this journey, whatever we're going to do, we need to think about lifestyle first.
Yep.
Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that, because how do you want to live? That's what I have that conversation so often with my customers when they're in and we're doing anything pre-construction, we're doing any kind of pre-planning, is I'll tell them, they'll be like, well, what's your opinion? They'll ask me, right? What's your opinion? Well, generally how I'm describing my opinion to them is, this is how I live. I live this way in my house. So there's certain things I'll make it real short, but because we just got done doing some electrical walks and we're in a master bedroom. People are like, well, should we just have a chandelier? Should we have a chandelier and can lights? Should we have a chandelier, can lights, and reading lights? What should we do? I then come back to them along with the designer. I'm like, well, how do you live? How do you live in your home? And I'll explain, my wife and I go to bed in our bedroom. That's it. So we don't have can lights. We have a chandelier. That's it, right? You turn it on, you turn it off when you go to bed. Hey, if you like to read, let's get you some can lights, put some dimmers on them, put some reader lights, put some lamps. But it's, how do you live?
Right. So really taking those top threes and breaking it down to what's most important to them.
Yeah.
And so, this is an elephant, right? You can't eat the whole thing at one sitting, right? You've got to start with a plan, one bite at a time. And, my big thing is we provide a customer when they want to start. We love to talk to the builder first, but I'm going to make this available. It's our client questionnaire.
Yeah.
And it'll be in the show notes. You can download it. And what that does, and I wish everybody had this, and now everybody will have it.
Yeah, that's right.
Because usually going and talking to a builder is going to be a little bit later after you've kind of established in your mind what you're looking for. But one of the first things we're going to ask is, what are you looking for?
What are you looking for? What do you want?
Yeah. And so I wish that they had this questionnaire. Everybody did, and we're going to make it available. But a few of the big things on there that I think is really important, even backpedaling from all the way down to, you'll get to the lights in your rooms, right? And fine details.
Right.
But it could be something as, hey, what school district?
That's right.
Do we have a growing family? We need to, what are our needs now? And then what are our needs 5-10 years from now? What are our life's goals?
Do we work from home?
Do we work from home is a huge one. Entertaining. We get that a lot now, is people love to entertain in their home, and to be able to have those spaces for entertaining, which goes along with our barbecue features,
that's right.
We have a lot of customers that focus on the outside of their home, and that can be a significant investment, right? And so that's what I think the big thing is them thinking of these things, having a place to put them down on paper, and, designing that home for not only how you live today, but how you're going to live in a few years.
That's right.
Another thing that I get asked a lot of times, and I hear great designers ask this question, is, tell me how the look and feel of your home is. How does that play out when they're waking up that morning and saying, let's do this?
So you're exactly right, because generally speaking, we have a couple of meetings, right? Sales meetings that we'll have with customers. Okay, come into our office and we will explain to you our process. We will also hear what you're looking for. If they have already purchased a lot, generally we'll have another meeting looking at their lot with them. But then we get through it and we have what we call design contract, which is pre-construction, right? And you're exactly right. Our very first meeting with our customers, it's like, hey, we want you to bring all your Pinterest pictures, all your pictures you've saved on Instagram, all of these, and we want to go through them with you. So before you get to your builder or your designer and you've woke up and you decided we want to do this, start saving those pictures. The reason we like going through them with you is you'll find out when you're going through these pictures with customers, I'm sure you've seen this too, we ask on every picture, what is it that you like here? Sometimes I'm realizing I just like the rug. We don't need that. Let's take that picture out. Then you condense, because again, like you're saying, biting from an elephant. Man, when you're thinking about building a home, you're excited, you're pinning everything, you're saving stuff on Instagram, and it feels like it's all over the board. Well, we can narrow that focus. It allows us then to know a direction we're going. But you're exactly right. Coming to us, I love when you have the feel of your home kind of laid out in pictures that you've saved, that then gives us a direction to know how we need to build your home.
Right. So my takeaway from what you're saying is what they could do day one, if they haven't already, is start collecting all of this information. And this is what I tell my customers to do ahead of time and recommend that people do ahead of time is go ahead, set up the Pinterest board, the house board, or even just a booklet of things that they like. I know that's kind of archaic because people don't print out pictures anymore, but
I don't even know if you can. Is that allowed?
I don't know. I guess I'm showing my age right now. But, getting those boards available. And what I always tell them is you're going to like a picture, but that picture may show 1,000 things.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of things in a pretty picture of a kitchen or a family room or a master bathroom. But what we're more interested in is something that they can do to benefit them and help creating this picture, which ultimately will end up creating their budget of what they can and can't do, is to say, hey, in this kitchen, what I really like in this picture is the cabinets. I've had them say, in this kitchen, you would initially think, hardwoods, or hardware, countertops, but it was the hardwood floors that they liked.
That's right.
Or the beams, or
the cabinet hardware, whatever.
So we tell them, hey, take that picture, and they leave you an area to write on it. Be as descriptive as possible, because eventually, one, you're going to see 1 million pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And things that you like. And if you don't earmark what you liked about it, believe it or not, you're going to actually forget, what did I like about this picture?
That's right.
When you see another 80 pictures. So the idea is put on there, then as you collect pictures and you have your kitchen, you're going to wind up, and what you're going to find is you've got several different pictures. None of the kitchens really look the same.
That's right.
But there are pieces and parts of every one that we can pull together eventually and make a perfect design of what they're ultimately looking for. So I think that that's good. Other areas of the home that we like to have them focus on, open spaces, right? Everybody wants the open concept, but now we're starting to hear more of back to more intimate. So how does that play out today as opposed to down the road where the way you want to live? And then, something huge. Multi-generational living.
It's becoming bigger.
Are you seeing that in the Oklahoma market, and what would you recommend?
And we're seeing it coming into more like community living, almost, not just home building. It's how developers are developing. And you're right, this multi-generational living is becoming 2 master suites. It is becoming more popular, which is crazy because I think, I started hearing people at the Builders Show talking about this 5-6 years ago, and we never heard of it. And now you are really starting to hear a bunch of this becoming more and more mainstream. And that's something to think about. And we hear it with, on the east side of Edmond where we build, we do a lot like what you guys do here, which is basements and walkout basements. Well, with that, that's usually where guests go, but we're getting a lot of, hey, we at minimum on the main floor need a couple of bedrooms for if my parents live here, for if my in-laws move in. And so really thinking about, if we're going to build, how long are we going to be here? And who may live here with us.
Gotcha. And that's what I call, we're starting to pull together a framework almost for the process for them. So if a customer or a listener is thinking of that framework, first we're talking about lifestyle. Think about lifestyle first. Get your boards together. Start collecting those lifestyle features that you really want. Then we're going to move to priorities. Okay, take those boards that you've collected for all those different rooms, exterior features, outdoor living, things that they want on or around the house and then inside the house, and then create what we would call a top 3 priorities framework, right? Where now you got to synthesize that of an order of hierarchy, like, maybe is it function first?
Right.
Or is it design first? Think granular to that level of what's more important to you. one of the questions that I like to ask with a customer that our listeners should ask themselves is, first and foremost, what do I need in that house every day?
Yeah.
That would just either make life easier or just make it seem more seamless. What other questions are you hearing?
Well, here, questions that we ask is kind of very close to what you're saying, but we tell our customers when they come in, I said, listen, when you guys aren't here, and you're sitting on the couch and you're talking about your house because you've already met with us or you've met with your whatever builder you're with, I tell people top 5. I know you said top 3, but I said, look, custom building can and should be fun. It also can be hard because you're getting to watch something that is technically being manufactured, but it's being manufactured to where you can watch it, right? And so we say, why did you not just go buy a house? What is it that you're choosing to want to go through this process? It's longer than just buying a house. Tell us that so that we can build that into your design. And we always say the top 5, and you're right. Hey, is it a kitchen? Is your appliances in your kitchen, is that what moves the needle? Is it functionality? Is it we just want to have a master bathroom that feels like I'm at a spa every day? What is it? What is it that you could not find that made you end up deciding I want to build? And tell us that so we can help design that in.
Yeah. And I'm asking those same questions when we're talking to customers about renovations too, because all this stuff is interchangeable.
That's right.
Right. And that's what I find. You hear some of those stories out there, and that's what we're trying to avoid with all this, of the fear of not even knowing where to start.
That's right.
And then the unknowns. One of the other big fear of unknowns is, they have this vision and they're creating and putting these boards together, but that there's a big fear of the unknown of what is this going to cost?
Yeah.
What is the budget? And so that's really what I see too as the logical next step. So you've pulled it together, you've created your top 5. Now it's like, okay, let's dream big, but we got to plan smart.
That's right. That's why we say top 5. That's what I tell our customers, Mike. Listen, every customer, I don't care if you come to me and you're building an $800,000 house or if you're building a $2 million house, you have a budget. Okay. I don't care what the amount of money is. There's a budget, which is why we very much want to define those top 3 to top 5 things. Hey, let's make sure we get these into the budget. Then there's going to be decisions you have to make on other items to meet within the budget that you want to be at, or that just the cost of building puts you into. Hey, this is, we don't make the prices, there's material, there's labor. Would these all come together? That's the budget. Let's make sure we get the reason you wanted to build a house or renovate in your budget. And then the rest, we're going to have to talk through.
Yeah.
We're going to have to talk through, hey, we can't do that, but we can do this.
Yeah, and I see that a lot. I think sometimes that fear of talking about a budget kind of either causes paralysis, makes them think it just sounds scary.
Yep.
They've heard the horror stories of their friends building, and it's been so far over budget. Yep. And a lot of that is due to poor planning.
Sure.
And I would say not being clear about what it is, your max budget of what you want to spend. You really, are you finding this? Because I really find that they're coming in finally when they come to talk to us, and they really haven't even thought about what their max budget is, or unfortunately, they won't want to tell. They don't look at a builder as a guide.
That's right.
They don't look at them as a partner. I think that's a real big problem in our industry and for customers that listen, you find a good reputable company, and that's easy to do now. We'll get into all that in another episode of how to vet a builder.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, with social media, you can find out everything. So you've got a sense of...
It's huge. It's huge if you're going to choose a builder, you're going to have to trust them. You have to. It's just the way it has to be, because you're right. I still remember a customer that I built for that wanted me to carry the note. So I carried the note. We get to the end of this thing, and we need to go another month or something like that. And we ended up spending around $30,000 in interest on carrying the note as a part of his job cost. It was cost plus, but we carried the note. He paid cash for the house. I said, Mr. Customer, you could have just told me that you were going to pay cash up front and we could have set up an escrow account and I would have drawn from that and you would have saved $30,000.
Oh, see, yeah. So it leads to savings. Transparency.
He didn't want to tell me that he was paying cash, I'm assuming, because he thought we would price the house more, right? Well, on a cost plus basis, I'm not pricing the house more. The house is the cost plus the margin, right? The house is going to cost what it's going to cost. And he was like, oh, well, I didn't know. And you're right. The transparency of where you really want to be. If I don't really know where you want to be, I can't guide you. And when I say I mean any builder.
Yeah, that's right.
We can't guide you if we really don't know. And if you tell us you want to be at $1 million, but really, you're going to end up at $1.5 million, you're going to be disappointed because the wood floor that I put into your budget is going to be a wood floor that gets me to $1 million price tag when, why'd you only give me this amount on the wood floor? That's not nice enough for what we want. Well, because we wanted to be at $1 million. I thought, we want to do a little more. Well, if we knew you wanted a little more, we could have put different products in there, right? And so there's this trust and transparency that has to be shared amongst the builder and the customer. So that you're right. We're your guide.
Yeah.
We're your guide.
Exactly. And that's it. And, one of the biggest things I like to tell people when I'm talking to them, whether it's customer or just someone dreaming about their home, is listen, be transparent with the budget and know if you're going to spend $1 million, then tell us it's $850. Because you got to have a contingency, 15%, 20%, 10%, whatever that market permits, but you got to have a contingency. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But ultimately for their steps today, they need to think of a budget, hone it in, know that they got to have maybe a 15% on average contingency and have that number in mind set, and then bring transparency to where they want to wind up.
And then also know you're going to have a tough conversation, because I would venture a guess almost 100% of these customers, what they want and what they want their budget to be are not going to match.
Gotcha.
Because I'm sure you see it too. It's just building is expensive. And in your mind as a customer, okay, well, we want 4 bedrooms, this size. We want quartz countertops. We know we want solid wood floors, but we only want to spend X. And you're like, well, it's going to be Y, and be ready as a customer to have that conversation with your builder and really get down to the nitty gritty of, like you said, is budget going to be the most important, or is what you want going to be the most important?
That's right. And so when we're talking, so once they've got that established, we've got their boards selected, their budget figured out. The next step, I think logically for someone listening that wants to build a new home is, we talked about it, is it a new school? Is it whatever? Is locating a lot where they want to be. And that's a challenge, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of facets to that. In our case here in Atlanta, there's lots available, or there could be a tear down,
right?
Where we're tearing a home down. But ultimately, I feel like that's the next step, is going out, identifying where you want to live, finding either an available lot or a tear down in that area. Now, I'd like to hear how you best direct or would tell our audience to do that, because I think there's a couple of ways to ensure them a good success. I know your wife does it.
Yeah.
And then we also do it. So I want to give our listeners the secret in the sauce, so to speak, with identifying a lot.
I don't know if I have a great answer for that. I'm excited to hear you. Obviously, your local realtors are going to be good because they're going to know on-market and off-market deals. Man, lots are hard to come by, and you can look up National Association of Home Builders will give you the data on it. We have the least amount of lots, buildable lots in the country ever.
Yeah. Right?
They're hard to come by. So, man, I feel like in today's market, it's almost like find your location that you want to be in, that's close to where you want to live, how you want to live, and then find the most suitable lot for you.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be tough.
And to do that, you're saying find the right realtor.
Yes.
And what we always say is find the realtor that knows the area.
That's right.
Drive around, look for whose signs are in the yard.
Yep.
Talk to people, talk. And I think that's a great step one.
Yep.
The other thing that we do, because we got to be scrappy.
Yep.
Right. So, and a lot of people, to be honest with you, are a little nervous up front to engage a realtor if they just don't know.
Sure.
So what I'll tell the customers is, or people looking is, hey, go on to Zillow.
Yep.
Okay. There's some cool apps like Landglide. It'll cost, but you can see all the information. So I say, go on Zillow and look at what's for sale in that area.
Yeah.
Right. There's other ways to do it that you can do your own research. It allows you to put in those filters.
Yep.
Start creating, and you can even create a search on there where it'll tell you every day what's come up. So that's number 2. Number 3, this used to garner, and this is the dirty little secret, this used to garner us so much opportunity for renovations, fix and flips, building new, is we would locate where we wanted to be.
Yeah.
I would drive there, okay? I would park the truck, get out of the truck, and walk around. That's number 1. To that secret sauce.
Yep.
Walk around, look for the older person that's outside working on their lawn.
Yeah.
The older and older person you can find is going to tell you everything you ever wanted to know about the neighborhood. Oh, so and so they just moved. And it's like, wow, that house looks lived in. Well, no, they moved.
Yeah.
And it's going to come available. You use that, and then you can go to your local municipality, find out who owns it, or an app like Landglide and find out who owns it, and then you can send them you can see if they're still there, if they moved, mail them a letter, hey, and if it's a homeowner, hey, mail them a letter that shows a picture of you and your family.
Yeah.
That why you want to live there. It makes it personal, and I guarantee you're going to get a better response for them reaching back out to you if they are interested in selling. I've seen that work time and time again. So that would be number 3. So, and then the other big thing that they can do is talk to some of their friends.
That's right.
What do they see? Just don't be afraid to talk.
And the easiest one in ours, it's definitely, our markets are much different in this. We aren't as landlocked as you guys are. Yeah. We have more opportunities. So in our market, it's as simple as drive.
Yeah.
Drive around. Go into the subdivision. Oh, I like the entrance to this subdivision. Get in. If it's a gated one, when you're talking about dirty little secrets, you kind of just keep driving until you see someone pull into the entrance, and you just follow them into the gated subdivision.
Come on, Nathan, nobody does that.
No one does that. Then drive around and look, and then you're right. Drive in that neighborhood. Man, I like this place. There's going to be 1 or 2 realtors signs out there, or a builder's sign. Call them. Hey, I want to know more about this neighborhood. I want to know how to get a lot.
That's right. For renovations, it's a little bit different. It's going to be more about what do they want to do. They're not going to be driving around.
Yep.
But what can they do that's different than what you would do in a new home? But first, before we answer that, the one thing about finding vacant lots in a neighborhood is sometimes they might be subject to utilizing that builder.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, again, it goes back to researching the builders even before the builder even knows to see, is that a place? Talk to those neighbors to see how the experience went with the builder. We'll get into this in another episode. I think those are the big things. And then when you get to a lot or a parcel that you like, what I always tell and what I always do personally is, especially if it's a tear down or whatever, I look at the topography.
Yep.
And that means how does the lot sit? Is it going to require a basement or a slab? Is there a big body of water there? There's requirements that you can't get close to a body of water. And those have changed so much over the years that, when they built that old home, if you're thinking about tearing it down and building a new home, the old home might have been able to get close to the water.
Yeah.
But now if that's state waters, you can't build the new house. So there's rules around that. So in that case, find the lot you like, then go to the municipality and start asking the zoning people the questions of what you can do.
Yep.
And you can quickly decipher, hey, will this work for our vision that we've created on our boards?
Yep.
And then look at the utilities.
Yep.
Does it have sewer? connection to the house? Is it already there so you don't have to pay for a new one?
Right.
Is it remotely close so you could connect to a municipality?
Yep.
Is it going to be septic?
Yep.
Then, that leads to type of soils, and you'll get in that during your due diligence. And then is it natural gas?
Right.
If you work from home, who's the cable provider?
Oh, yeah.
So look into who the cable provider is. Do they have fiber there or not? So those are key questions that you could ask when looking that you could do yourself, but ultimately you can make the offer, or at that point, it's great to involve a realtor to help you make that purchase.
Agreed.
If that's the case. So back to the renovation side, it's a little different, I would say, because they're not looking for a lot. I think on that one, you got to ask yourself, what's driving this project, right?
Yeah, always.
The question maybe is, what's the main reason they want to renovate? They've got to think deep about that. And, is it improve functionality? Is it improve the way it looks? Is add more technology? These are all things that they could also list out to know and have clear direction as to where they want to go. What are some things that someone renovating their house, do you think, Nathan, that they could focus to get the biggest impact? Let's say they live in an older home.
Mm-hmm. For us,
or I should reword that, because that was a bad question.
For us as builders, we look to add footage,
right?
That's how we turn a 2-bed 1-bath into a 3-bed 2-bath.
That's right.
If we can manipulate that, that's going to add us the most value. On a customer side, generally speaking, it may be ad footage because the family's growing, and it could just be, I want to make it look better,
right?
Newer.
We get a lot of questions like, hey, what's the biggest return on investment, ROI, on the work we're going to do to our home? What would you say, where is maybe key places that you think, if you're going to renovate a home, where you should spend the money to get the biggest bang for your buck, biggest ROI?
I mean, in my opinion, it's going to start in the kitchen. The kitchen's going to give you, the kitchen is the heart of the home, and that's no different on a renovation than new construction. When we go through the design process and we're looking at pictures, the lookbooks with our customers, do you want to know where we tell them to start? The kitchen. Hey, let's find kitchens you like, and then we will build your home off of that.
Yep. And what would be number 2? Probably bathrooms.
Yeah.
Master
bath. Yeah. Master baths, and then
primary.
I'm sorry. I'm not a realtor or a designer.
There's too many names for that.
There's too many names for it.
Yeah.
Where the people who purchase the home sleep.
Yeah. That's long to put on a set of plans.
Yeah, that bathroom along with your secondary bathrooms.
Yeah, as a second. And do you see customers asking for energy efficient remodeling, like, things that you can add to make their house more energy efficient? I think we're seeing that as number 3.
Yes.
Kitchens, baths, energy efficiency, because listen, the bottom line, and it's going up.
Yeah, that's right.
The price of energy is going up.
Yeah, it's going up, and you're in an old home. We used to for a long time, and we've known each other for 10 years. I used to, at our builder group, talk about how energy efficiency wasn't something that I got a lot of questions on, being from Oklahoma, because we're in an oil and gas state. Wasn't something that we got communicated with a lot. It is becoming more and more asked about. Energy efficiency, things that can help with that. And so we've really had to kind of lean into some of that over the years.
Yeah. And, what I always say is, said one way, is structural fixes over aesthetics. I like to tell them, listen, if you're going to renovate your home, the first thing you're going to do is make your whole list, and it's going to be beautiful things you can put in it. But yet that doorway has a huge crack because there's been a structural issue there in the sheetrock.
The chimney might fall.
That's correct. Yeah. So it's like, I always tell them, really look at your house. If you need to get an inspector to look at it to help you, it's actually a good thing to get an inspector every 8 or 10 years if you can afford it, just to give you, if you don't know what you're looking at, a deeper dive to see how is that house aging, how does your roof look, how are structural components hanging in there. And I say, then that needs to take priority on your list, because we need to fix the structural first, because at some point you're going to want to sell, and you're going to have to deal with it then.
That's right.
And you're better off dealing with it before you put the pretty stuff on it.
Yeah,
because then you got to remove the pretty stuff.
You got to take the pretty stuff to get back to it.
That's right.
Which is why renovations, generally, I'm sure you see, they cost more than the owner expects them to cost, because they want the pretty stuff, but it's never going to fail. we're going to peel the sheetrock off, and your electric's not going to be to code. We're going to have to, because as soon as we know that the electric's not to code, we have to get it to code, right? Even if we didn't want to, even if we didn't want to budget for it, we have to. And so you're right. Doing those things right always sneak up in renovations.
That's right. Absolutely. And then I always tell them to wrap the renovation part up is also think about materials used.
Yep.
You mentioned earlier about doing an addition or any type of renovation. You're going to want to keep those spaces cohesive.
Yes.
With whether it's inside or outside, with the rest of the home. So it's based more, period. Some of the most beautiful renovations I've seen are the renovations that you don't know there was a renovation.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
And going back to what you said, and that a homeowner would need to prepare for when they're planning and when they're budgeting a renovation, is that those materials are harder to come by on the exterior and cost more because they're harder to come by and they might be discontinued. You got to try to find it.
That's right.
To make it look the same.
Yeah.
I think a huge mistake is you've got an old, beautiful brick home or some, as an example, and then all of a sudden you put an addition on it and you put fiber cement siding on it.
That's right.
And it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yep.
And I think that when you talk about return on investment, that may not, finding the old brick, putting it on, may not pay for itself dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
But I can tell you the homes that look seamless that we've always fixed and flipped over the years or helped customers remodel, because we do those monster remodels, the ones that were done properly and period, and we made it match as close as possible, had a faster sell rate because they were so much more appealing and they have brought in more money.
Yep, that's right.
I mean, you're probably going to make your money back, but don't quote me. But, they sold faster and time is money. And so that's another, I'd say the last factor to keep in mind when you're pre-planning and you wake up that day and you say, this is what we want to do.
Yep.
Do you have any stories of success of a homeowner finding you in a creative manner or a different way that you would leave the listeners with as to something that they could do that might be out of the box?
I don't know what you're asking.
Me either. I just said that was a lot of words.
That was so many words. I don't know exactly what you're asking. What do you?
I don't know. I blacked out halfway through my question.
How about you answer your own question, and then I'll piggyback off of it.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, I would say a success story, and it's happened more than once. Is when the customer pulls this together. And they finally come to us. We just had a customer recently that they took the time and they did their homework.
Yeah.
They didn't know exactly what everything cost. But with Google, you can get it pretty close. Within 25%, I say.
Yeah.
But they had a feel for what it would cost. They pulled it all together. They came and sat down with us, and she looked across at me and said, here's what I want in the house. Here's all of my boards. We brought it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Here's how you can access it.
Yeah.
Here's our budget that we want to spend. Is this in line with our thought process?
Yeah.
And it was. Actually, in that case, they actually had a little too much. I'm like, oh, we can do all of this and maybe a wish list, because she came to me, which I thought was an incredible idea. She had her must-haves lined up in one column.
Of course.
She had her wish list in the next column, and then she had her big, hairy, audacious goals, her stretch goals, in a third column. And I said, we can take care of your wish list, your entire must-haves. Wish list, and then we could probably do one of these big, hairy, audacious goals. And she was elated.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But it was because she did the homework. In any good project, what you're going to find going through this series we're making is that with good preparation, everything starts out on the right foot. And here's the thing. Going back and landing the ship to where we were from the start, where you said, be clear with your builder on budgets. Builders have big hearts. Listen, another little secret is at the end of it, we want a satisfied customer.
Yes.
I've never met a builder that has said, nah, I don't care about the customer.
Yeah, that's right.
They all start off with, we want a satisfied customer. Number one.
Yep.
Number two, where does the chaos come in? Poor planning.
Yeah, it's planning and not knowing what you're building.
That's right. And not creating that. And the success story here that I hope I can leave our listeners with just the morning you wake up and you want to plan is plan.
Yes.
And then go to the next step, which we'll talk about in the next episode. Yeah. So stay tuned. What we're going to do is I'm going to provide in the show notes a takeaway for a customer questionnaire that they can use to get started to thinking about how they want to live and all that, and that'll be ready for download. Nathan, can you think of anything else for that first morning they wake up and they start putting this together that I forgot?
No, I think we covered a lot. I mean, I think the number one takeaway is knowing what you want.
Clarity
as a customer, knowing what you want, knowing how much you want to spend. Those things are going to be and as a builder on a custom home, we're your guide. And it is your home. I can give my opinion. It's your home. We need to know what you want and what you want to spend, and then we guide you through that process.
That's so funny. What a great lead in, because on the next episode, we're going to be talking about how to then pick the right team.
All right, there it is.
You've pulled it together. Let's pick the right team. So if you like this episode, please like and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube or anywhere you want to get your podcasts. Please DM us.
Yep.
If you would like to any of your questions answered, we can do that. Or if there's any clarity you need. And, we've really enjoyed this. And stay tuned for the next episode of Building Brews and BBQ.
Awesome.